Hey, hello, beautiful people. How are you all? Hi, Courtney. Hi, Lucy. Hi, Jasmine. Hi, Matthias. How are you guys? Steve, good to see you. Tanya, how are you? Thanks for joining us. So good to see you. Cherry, how are you?
Hi,
Doing
Adriana.
good?
Yes.
Excellent. Excellent. This is really good. It's morning here. I mean, late morning. It's 11 a.m.
Okay.
So I'm sufficiently caffeinated. It's better than during the trainings when I teach in the middle of the night and by 2 a.m., it's like, okay, I need another coffee. But we have good coffee here. Do you guys like coffee or are you off coffee?
Coffee's good.
Coffee is good. We have good coffee here, actually. Is a coffee that's organic, coming from, where do they come? Kenya, I think, mostly. And it's an extraordinary, it's not acid, and it's full of antioxidants because coffee contains antioxidants, as you know, but it's not acid. It doesn't grind your stomach, like, I mean, no offense for those of you who like Starbucks, but I can't have Starbucks. Starbucks is like grinding my stomach. It's so acid and so concentrated. This one's very low caffeine as well. And I like the taste. So I think it's also psychosomatic because I don't think it has that much caffeine. And the coffee machine here has a setting, you can do different strengths, 1 bean, 2 bean, 3 bean, and so on and so forth. And I do the low one. So probably it's more psychosomatic. Oh, I had the coffee, therefore I must be awake. Because, well, what do you know? Anyway. All right. I'm just going to wait another 2, 3 more minutes to see, for the in timers in the group, in time through time, because there are people who are always late. Anyway, good to see you here. That's exciting. And I'm always excited to talk to people who are interested in how do you use your mind actually to change your life. And I know this is almost like a cliche. I mean, it's not. I'm not the first one to say this. There have been hundreds and hundreds of people, in all fields talking about this for ages. But what I noticed, and probably many of you have noticed as well, they tell you what to do, but they don't tell you how to do it. And this is a very important principle. Okay, I know what to do. Okay, I'm going to change my mind. Well, how do I do that? Because I'm still the old me. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, well, anyway, I'm always excited to talk to people who really understand what this means, and they understand that yeah, there is something. If I want to change my outside world, if I want to change something, I need to begin with me, because I'm still the old me. I'm going to tell you a story, but when I start, because that actually got me into NLP. That very story got me into NLP. It was a lady that actually pointed out the obvious to me. It was in my face, but I couldn't think of it. How do you think of what you can think of? So I didn't at the time, but anyway, that got me into NLP, and it's probably the best thing I've ever done in my life. Yeah. So that's where we are. And again, thank you for joining me. It's really cool. I don't know if you're excited, but I surely am, because that's how it is. Okay, let's see in the chat. Let me put the chat up to see. Okay, somebody said, oh, Carolyn said, just finishing dinner for children. I'm also, Sarah said, I'm also on, but working, so I have my camera off. Don't worry about it, Sarah. Thank you for joining us. That's great. Kylie says, I'm driving. Drive safely, please. Yes, indeed. That's very cool. That's very cool. Okay, at the end, um, if you guys want to ask me any questions, by the way, as some of you know, some of you don't, but I am always of the opinion that there is no such thing as stupid questions. Regardless of what you may believe, there is no such thing as a stupid question that makes you look bad or anything. The only stupid question is the question that hasn't been asked. Because if you don't ask it, you'll never get the answer. It's again one of those obvious things. So I'm going to open for questions at the end, and you can write them in the chat, and I'll go through them, and I'll do my absolute best to give you my absolute best thoughts, and I'll answer them. Okay. But that's what I intend to do. And I don't want to keep you very long here. I know it's evening in Australia, and you had probably a long day, busy, and I won't keep you very long. I'll do my best to keep it nice and tight and to the point. Okay. Actually, my point is very easy, and as you will see, it's kind of like a snapshot, and give you some pointers, some things that you can use in your thinking right now. Something that's very practical for you, some new ways of just changing that thing in your mind that sometimes you need an outside somebody else to point out some things to you that maybe, as I said in my thing, they were staring me in my face, but I didn't think that way at the time. In other words, my brain neurology was going down a groove. That's the habit. And habit is a good thing, but at the same time, it can keep us stuck many times. Anyway, so what is it? It's 10 past. So I think we can start, and if people join us later, they'll just join us. All right. So I always start pointing out, one of the things that everybody experiences, whether we pay attention consciously or not. The fact that we had the last 2 years in pretty much in every country in the world, it's been the same thing, lockdowns, the whole situation with the health issue and so on and so forth has changed us. People say, I'm going to go back the old ways. You can't. Here is why not. Because we all have been changed. We all have changed. One of the things that we will discuss in the Master Practitioner, and it's obvious once you understand it, is the fact that the environment in which we live, if it changes the way we respond in terms of our values. I know. There are people out there who say the values you've been born with are the values you're going to stay with the whole life. That is absolutely wrong. And I'm saying absolutely. I'm like 100%, not 98% sure. I'm absolutely sure. I do this for longer than I want to admit, 25 years now, right? I'm in the field. And yeah, I'm getting older. But thanks to the Zoom settings, no wrinkles, you see, crank that thing right up in Zoom, so it makes you look like you're 20 years younger. Anyway, values do change. Values do change, and they depend on the environment, number one, and the environment around us has changed. There is no way we can go back and pretend the last 2 years didn't happen, because it did happen. And as a result of that, all our environment has changed: political, social, economic, financial, you name it. Our personal relationships in our families, in our personal relationships with our kids, with our friends, everything has changed. And that's the environment, first of all. As a result, what we value, what's important to us, has also changed. The way we think has changed. Our beliefs have changed unobtrusively. It's impossible not to. Yeah. So it seems like like as a result of this, in general, and I'm gonna check with you guys just because I'm nosy. In general, people, and I'm making a broad generalization, yeah? So don't take it personally. This is not personal. This is just a broad generalization in society. In general, I noticed that there is two issues that are, I'm chunking up, and to abstract, that people deal with nowadays. One is indecision, and the other one is uncertainty. How many people here feel that? Show me with your hand. Are you dealing with the same issue, like in indecision and uncertainty? Yeah, it's very, very common, and I noticed that in the U.S. as well for my U.S. students, and in general even here and in European countries, because I talk to graduates that are part of the master trainer program. They report back the same thing, because the situation is fluid in terms of values. And you will understand this very, very well once we go together through the different types of thinking, which are called values levels in the Master Prac. The values levels thinking respond to the environment. It's impossible not to. They are depending also on our neurology of the body, the brain, and wherever you are you as an individual are in terms of your values levels to begin with. See, everyone you ask, and I'm sure you have this experience, wants to make a breakthrough. They want a more abundant life. They want an easy. They want more certainty. They want to, achieve their goals easier. And I mean, it's so common. Everybody wants this. How to get there is the problem. How to form the plan, how to walk the plan, how to work the plan, how to carry out the plan. And that's again the how to. And again, the change happens from within. And let's top that up with handling stress. Because I don't have to tell you how much stress we all had in the last 2 years. And people experience also a lot of stress because the situation is so fluid. Now, another way for fluid, another way of saying for fluid is changing. The economic model in the world is changing. It's a massive re-engineering, and that's again a values level transition. That's again a values level transition. The world has transitioned already into VL5 full on. Unfortunately, many individuals have not. And if I was to be, the queen, I will poof everybody on the head and said everybody should understand values levels, because then what's happening in the world to keep us safe, protected, and be able to be prosperous, creative, imaginative, and deal with this situation would be much easier. People are struggling because they don't understand what's going on in the world. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be, offensive in any form or shape, but these things are not taught. That's a great pity. So let us, here is one of my favorite metaphors. If we compare I'm going to take two extremes, yeah? If we compare a horse carriage with an airplane has many possibilities that an ordinary horse carriage does not have. But at the same time, an airplane can be used as an ordinary carriage. Think of it. It would be clumsy, it would be clunky, it would be inconvenient, very expensive, but theoretically you can attach some horses and pull it down the road, right? Theoretically. I know it sounds ridiculous, but think of it. Theoretically, you can do that. So suppose that the person who has this airplane does not know it has engines, it can move by itself, it can fly. It does not know any of that. Suppose then that he learns about the engine and then can get rid of the horses, obviously, and use it as a motor car. And now it, taxis down the road, and still it's too clumsy because you don't need an aircraft to, ride down the road. Now, suppose the man studies the engine, understands how it works, and discovers it can fly, right? Certainly it will have many, many more advantages that he missed when he used it as a carriage. That's what we're doing, my friends, with ourselves. We use ourselves as a carriage when we could use ourselves as aircrafts, as airplanes, and fly. That's sad to me, because it's not only nice words. I'm a firm believer in human capabilities. And many people restrict themselves. I know life is busy, believe me. I know what busy means. I'm not having any day. If I take an afternoon off and I don't work, I feel guilty. Funny enough. I said, what did I contribute with today? What did I do today to give my contribution as a human being in this life? But that's me. Yeah, that's me personally. I'm not saying anybody should be this way. So don't think this way. So what's the reason that the airplane cannot fly? Because first of all, we don't know the machine. We don't know the aircraft. We don't understand our minds, how to work it, how to work our minds so that we really produce the results. Okay, let me say it differently, so that we create what we want. Regardless, here's the big secret. Here's the big secret. Regardless of what's happening around us, we still can create individually our own timelines in which we can create what we want. And this is one of the big secrets that's been around for a very, very long time, which leads to what's the difference between people who are successful even in times of crisis and people who are not, are frozen, stay there and wait to be rescued. And that's again a matter of values levels. In values level 4, all people wait for somebody, government, institutions, organizations to come and rescue them. And values levels expressive, 3-5, they go, no, I'm going to create what I want to create for me, my family, my loved ones, my children, my parents, and so on and so forth. Using what? My mind. That's the difference between 4 and 5. Actually, NLP has been born in values level 5. I don't know if you know this. And values level 5 is when people decide that they are sick and tired of waiting for the government check or for the government support or for the government benefits and so on and so forth, which, I mean, no offense, but our politicians in the world nowadays, I don't have to tell you how corrupt they are. The political system has become to a level of corruption and hypocrisy that it's hard for me even to understand. But if we wait for them to rescue us and save us and return some normality to our lives, we will be asking permission for everything, and that's never going to come because it comes always with strings attached. Oh, I'm going to give you this if ... whatever they tell us. So values level 5 goes, no, I can use my own mind. I learn how to use it. I learn how to use that aircraft as an aircraft, not as a carriage, as I'm told. And I can produce the results that I want. I can change my strategies. In other words, I can, in NLP terminology, I can change my strategies, I can change my values, I can change the beliefs associated with the values. I can change all of that because nothing's cast in stone. Nothing. No belief that you think it's true right now, it's actually cast in stone. That may surprise you. We all act upon our beliefs, all. Me, you, everybody. It's impossible not to. But many of your beliefs, did you ever consider that many of your beliefs are not even yours? First of all, as you grow up and you're just little tiny, up to the age of 7, you're just a little unconscious mind roaming around. which means what? You're absorbing out of your environment everything that's around you. How many limiting beliefs and decisions have been around you that you absorbed when you were just a little kid, that your unconscious mind has stored? You act upon them as if they are real, but you just took them from other people. And other people were not perfect either. I mean, I'm with all due respect to all our parents. They did the best they could, but they weren't perfect either. Plus school years, plus neighbors, plus other kids, plus people in the community, plus relatives, plus and so on and so forth. Well, we're going to see sources of values, because sources of values come from media and so on and so forth. So we adopt these beliefs, first of all, when we're very young. They limit us, but we think they are true. No, we think they are absolutely true. And they're not. In fact, they're so easy to change. For those of you, you learn timeline therapy in the practitioner, you saw how easy it is to change a belief with timeline therapy. But what's not obvious is that actually, if you have a value, whatever value that may be, around that value, there is a bunch of beliefs. And it could be 3, 5, 500, I don't know. If you change the value, you get rid of all the limiting beliefs at once. Now that's economy of effort. That's totally economy of effort, because you don't have to go individually. You could go individually. I mean, how long does it take in timeline therapy to change a belief? 10 minutes? When you get good at timeline therapy and your unconscious mind learns the process, it's very easy. Yeah. So that goes after 3-5 repetitions, your unconscious mind got the process. And once it gets the learnings, the limiting beliefs or limiting decision disappears. But with values, it's even easier. Here is one of the problems that we can have. See, people always ask me, and when I used to teach with Ted, they asked him, is there anything, that timeline therapy cannot do? Like, tell me that, Ted. And Ted would say, sure. If you don't know what you're working on, if you don't know the belief or the decision or the negative emotion you are working on, what are you going to do? I'm working on something. Well, what? The unconscious mind needs to know what are you working on, right? But with the change, if you change a value, as I said, and you have all these beliefs that limit you, that keep you stuck, that make you have the same strategy over and over and over and over and over again, that doesn't move you through values levels, doesn't allow you development, it therefore manifested in behavior and the results you have in your life, yeah, then you are roaming around and in the same box, trying to, with the same strategies, to create something new. It's, I don't know if he said it or not, but allegedly Einstein said you cannot resolve the problems in life with the same strategy that you created and with the same thinking that created it. And to me, whether he said it or not, that saying is absolutely correct. So in order to create something new in your behavior, to act differently, to get different results, more positive, again, you got to change something inside. That's why, one of the reasons why you cannot change somebody outside of you. You cannot change a situation outside of you. I mean, you can try, we all have, but it ain't working. Or if it works, it takes a lot of struggle, think of how easy it is to change somebody in your family. Oh, don't do this. Well, they do it again. Don't do this, and they do it again. It's hard. It's virtually impossible to change somebody outside yourself. But if you change yourself, you can react differently to their behavior and maybe have another strategy to deal with that, so it stops being a problem. Same thing is, like, let's say, it's a common thing. Everybody wants to make more money, right? Everybody wants to make more money. Well, I'm doing what I've always done, but I want more money. I ain't gonna happen. It's not magic, again, the magic wand ain't gonna happen. So then what do I need to do? That's the question. What do I need to do to change what I'm doing right now? And again, employ different strategies so I can create more prosperity, more money. Again, here are the keywords: regardless of what is happening around you. Listen, there are people who made a lot. Listen, the rich, at least in the United States, have doubled their income during the last 2 years. Doubled. And we're talking here billions. That is like, what? And you can say, oh, but they had relationships, they are in a club, they help each other, la la la, and all that. Yeah. I'm not knocking that. Sure, that there is part of that. However, their absolute thinking is different from the big majority of the population. They don't sit there waiting for somebody to rescue them. That's how it is. If we also think of the human being, let me give you another metaphor that to me, this one I heard recently and may not be a new story, but it was meaningful to me. It made me think again. If we think of a human being, right, the body being the physical instrument, actually, oh, you can't see this. Let me see if I can pull it closer. Is this one of the things that, let's see. Okay, it's in the screen now. It's written there, consciousness equals awareness. And it says the mind is the instrument by which consciousness creates. I know many people in general in the master practitioner are also into developing consciousness and developing themselves in this respect. But see, the mind is not the same with consciousness. The intellect is not even the same as the mind. These are distinctions, finer distinctions. And so how much awareness do we have about what's going on in this little box up here? Because it's not just a pretty thing so that it doesn't rain in our throats. What is actually going on? What are the processes going on here that lead me right now not to have what I want, or not to do what I want, or not to be who I want to be? What's going on here that I can change so that actually I do get what I want, I am who I want, and I do what I want? The more conscious and aware we are of what's going on in our minds and how our minds work, and then we have the techniques to change, because that's one of the things that in general is not being given to you. Yeah, we have the means to make that change. Then we wonder why our results improve. We wonder not. Of course. It's kind of like, yeah. So if we think of a human being as a house, yeah? But let's say that you have a house in which you have a lot of people a lot of personnel. You have the gardener, let's say you have a pool, you have the pool guy, you have a person that cooks, you have a person that cleans, you have etc. I can imagine all sorts of things, right? But you don't have a master or a property manager to look after them. So the personnel, they do whatever they want to do. They do what they like. And none of them does the work that they're supposed to do. So in other words, they are most busy doing with others' tasks, either because they think they know better or because they like better to do other things. The house is in a complete disarray, chaos, because everybody is roaming around busy, but not doing what they're supposed to do. And so they're not competent to do the job or the things that they're trying to do. As I said, the cook may work in the garden, the driver cooks something in the kitchen, the cleaner reorganizing your filing cabinet, puts new apps on your phone, the gardener fiddles around with the alarm system and, sends selfie to her boyfriend and so on and so forth. And you realize that at some point, there is a lot of, I'm going to say a very important word, incongruency, meaning non-alignment. Everybody goes in all directions. And that's happening if you work in a team and people have different values. When people have different values, they'll be motivated to Even if they give you the lip service, even if they say on the surface, yeah, everything's fine, we're going to do this, unconsciously, they will be motivated to take a different direction because values determine our motivation. Everything, my friends, everything you're motivated to do or not to do is based on your values. That's how important our values are. Listen to what I just said. Everything. Whether you like coffee, because we were joking about coffee earlier, right? Or not, whether you drink it or not, whether you want to be a master practitioner and you're here or not, whether you want to go out to the beach one day or not, whether that's a value to you or not, whether you appreciate being with the family members or not, and so on and so forth. All of that is based on values. But so in our house, pardon me, you have all these people doing whatever they're doing, many not doing their job, the house is in disarray, chaotic, everybody's busy. I'm not saying people are not busy, but busy in the wrong way. So the only possibility for things to improve in such a situation would be if a certain number of these people decide to actually have somebody in charge, like what can I call it, a deputy manager, let's say, yeah. And make this one control all the other people. Control, not in control in a negative fashion, in creating a structure that actually leads and creates the ultimate result, which is the house works well. Everything's, working just fine. So that, what did I say, deputy manager, yeah, can do only one thing. Hey, this is your job, you do this. This is your job to do this. This is your job to do this, and gets confusion out of the way. When our brains, our minds are confused, we do nothing, we're frozen. The tendency, and you may remember this from the practitioner when we talked about perceptions projection, because our conscious minds try to explain to us, why is this happening? Why is this happening in my life? Why is it that no matter how much I try, I can't get this? Or no matter how much I try, I can't get above this platform of making money? Or why is it that I can make things easier? Why is it that I have to, work hard every single time? Why is it that I'm trying to do this and all of a sudden, here's this barrier and I bump into it and I can't proceed? And this is something that affected all of us in the last 2 years, right? And it's something that we didn't do ourselves, but we met those barriers, we met those blockages. That's how it's been. But see, I could see this. Somebody said to me that actually in the coaching trainers training, which is a training later on, after trainers training, Ted and I said, and we recorded that years ago, that in 2020, that's going to be a big crisis. Now, did I have a crystal ball? No. You know what I had? The understanding of the values transition. And if you understand that values transition, you can predict pretty accurately, I must say, where the world is going. And that's okay, good and dandy, fine. But what we're interested in is, okay, if I can see things coming, I can take preventive measures, so I'm always okay no matter what. So I don't have to wait there for the next shoe to fall. Oh, what will happen next? Or all this kind of stuff. Well, whatever happens, happens. I know that there are things that I am not in charge of, because I'm not in charge of the world. I'm not at World Economic Forum. I'm not at, the UN and so on and so forth. And things change, that's for sure. That, my friends, I assure you. There'll be more change. For those of you who want things not to change, things will change again. We are in the process of massive, massive transition in terms of values in the world, and things will keep changing for a while. So you better get used to change and be able to deal with the change in such a way that you're always safe and protected. That's the big thing. So coming back to our house, yeah? So we say, you know, this person, you do this is a job, this is how you do it, this, and so on and so forth, you know. You put them all to do their jobs according to their specialty and knowledge and capability and so on and so forth. And when this is done, there is a possibility for the real manager coming to replace the deputy manager and then prepare the house for the owner of the house. That's you. We don't know to begin with what the real manager means, of what the master, the owner of the house means. But we can take it as the house that's full of personnel and possibility of this deputy manager to keep in, that's your intellect, by the way, and knowledge. Yeah, if you didn't figure it out, describes our situation very, very well. As we begin all on this journey, if you are like me and you're a human being like I am, so I don't think it's a big difference, we begin thinking that we know. I'm a talker. I always like to talk. I always like to counsel. I always like to, it's been one of the things that I just do naturally. But just talking doesn't mean that I was talking purposefully. And when I first talked to a lady that was in NLP and I didn't know she was in NLP, and I was complaining that my communication, whatever I was saying to other people, I was getting back, you know, either a misunderstanding of what I was saying or well, little did I knew that's meta programs there too, you know, inferential versus literal speaker and all this kind of stuff. But I was tempted at the time, no NLP, just think of it, just totally before NLP. I was tempted to, like everybody else, to blame it's their fault. Because I can explain myself and I can talk and I can tell them what it is, but they don't get it. Well, it wasn't they. It was the communication that I didn't understand, that being a talker doesn't mean you're talking purposefully. How could I? I mean, nobody is trained until they're trained, right? So, the deputy manager, if you didn't get it yet, is the intellect, is the knowledge. The real manager is the conscious mind. And that's how we increase. People ask me all the time in the Master Prac, how do I progress through values levels? How do I move from one values level to another, to another, to another? There is no magic poof over the night. There is no magic thing that will make you, okay, I'm going to go tonight to bed in this type of thinking and tomorrow morning I'm going to wake up magically in another one. It doesn't work that way. It implies some change that you do with volition. Volition presupposes I know what I'm doing this, and I'm looking to obtain these results. That's conscious aware, consciousness equals awareness, yeah? And with volition. And many people sit there, again, untrained people, they go, I'm not thinking my thoughts. They're just coming to me. And I go, where are they coming from? Where are they coming from? There is a mechanism here. It's your neurology. Even if, let's say, you understand the issue of fields of information, and again, this is another thing that we'll discuss in Master Prac, is the fields of information. It's a field which contains a certain type of information, you know, and everything's in the field. Even if you understand the fact that your neurology of the body is like an antenna, receiving, transmitting, and you can attune yourself to different fields, and could be a field of poverty, misery, all bad things in the world, or you can attune yourself to the field of prosperity, abundance, good health, and so on and so forth. And you say, but I want to do that. Well, how do you do that? You eliminate everything that keeps you stuck in the first one. Because you can tune your neurology. And I'm not using, you know, scientific terms, but I'm a real researcher and reader in the field of neuroscience. And they're coming back to the same thing. They're coming back to the same idea. Now, we can do this in a very easy way. and I don't think there is anything easier than NLP and timeline therapy. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, how long does it take? We have, and we give you a lot of time. The master practice 7 hours of a full breakthrough session, right? A full breakthrough session presupposes a detailed personal history. You go through all the beliefs, all the decisions, all the values. You do timeline therapy. You do changing values. You do all of that. And if you want to choose, you do hypnosis. If you want to, you can do hypnosis at the end, to work directly with the unconscious mind. But that's 7 hours. What's 7 hours? It's not 3 months. It's not 3 years. Not, I don't have to struggle with this for the rest of my life and so on and so forth. That's why it just, to me, it's true. I'm in the field for a long time, I admit. But to me, change is not difficult if you want to change your life. And this is the thing, do you want to or not? Not you personally, one. If one wants, to progress, develop, and change their lives, to make it actually more in control and more under what you want rather than whatever happens to be. Many people in the last 2 years have been in the situation that whatever happens to be. Now, I know I said, there are things that don't depend on us directly. And I told you I could see it coming. So when the lockdowns first happened in 2020, switched online just like this, because I was prepared. Because I already could see it. I could see it as a transition in values. Non-emotional, by the way. I wasn't emotionally thinking about it. Kind of dispassionate, but I could see the transition happening in the world, no matter in what country you are in. It happened in the US. It happened in Australia, it happened in European countries, in the UK, it happened everywhere, in Canada. And there's no way of turning that back. Once a values transition, that's personal for you individually, but also in the grander picture in your community and also in the country and in the world. Yeah. So once the values transition happens, you can't turn it back. It's not like, okay, I'm just going to go back and pretend it didn't happen. It's already on the way. So the question is, how are we equipped, or how are we, forearmed is forewarned, right? How are we learning how to navigate this? There'll be people that'll be very, very successful. Very successful. And there'll be people who won't. So the difference is adaptation, allowing, your mind to work in a creative and imaginative way. But in order to do that, it has to be free to think. It's not possible to be free if you are in a state of being frozen. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to wait for maybe next shoe is going to fall tomorrow, or who knows what's going to happen. Well, yeah, who knows what's going to happen? That's true. I don't either. I'm not, I can't say I know exactly what's going to happen, but I can see the trend. I can see the change. I can see where we're moving into as a society. And that helps tremendously. Because as I said, then you can take preventive measures. Preventive measures. So one of the things that, again, it's interesting to me, because I'm an observer, yeah? I'm an observer of how people react. Most people suffer nowadays of the lack of time, me included, by the way. Everything seems to be more and more and more overwhelmed. I have to deal with this, with that, and so on and so forth. And I appreciate that many people now have to also look back and go, okay, maybe my income dipped in the last 2 years, or maybe my relationships have got a little strain on them, and so on and so forth, because of what happened. Yeah, so most people suffer of this. That's, again, another truism. It's pointing out the obvious, but the solution, let me give you a solution that you can do right now. If you suffer of overwhelm and lack of time for a week, but you have to do it for a week, write down everything you do during the day to see where your time goes. No, seriously, it's going to be such an eye-opener, because you think, I know what I'm spending my time on. No, you don't. Including how long does it take you to, if you cook a meal, or to go out, or to get prepared for whatever, or including everything. But be specific, be chunked down, be specific, and make a kind of a journal every single day, and then look, and it's gonna hit you in the face. God, this thing eats my time. You have, I'm gonna say this, and you're gonna hear me say over and over and over again, the master practitioner, I have two commodities in life. Two commodities, my friends, and both of them are in short supply: time and energy. So I'm gonna talk about time now, then I'm gonna talk about energy. So cut out everything that eats your time away from what you want to do and what's important to you. One of the things that's obvious, and I know because I work with clients and also feedback from students, is that sometimes they get on social media and 2 hours later they are still there and go, I just wanted to be there for 10 minutes. 2 hours of wasted time. Okay? So do that list. So write down everything you do during the day, everything and how long it takes. So I took 10-minute break for this, or I did this for 35 minutes, or I wanted to do this for, half an hour and I ended up working on 3 hours. Like one of the things, for instance, that eats my time many times is when I have to do a simple update on my computer. And an update that should take a few minutes, the computer stops working, gives me errors. I have to restart. I have to do this. And sometimes 2 hours later, I'm still struggling with that. Now, 2 hours wasted of my life. And you say, well, this is how it is. Put up with it. No, that wouldn't be intelligent. That wouldn't be intelligent. So I'm not saying you shouldn't update your computer. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying do your best to cut out what eats your time purposelessly. And then you'll have more time toward what you want to do, or even more time to, have a little time off actually. So that's very important. Do that list. I promise you, if you bother to do it, it will point out to you so many things that you're unaware of right now. It's an eye opener. Now I want to mention something that's also essential, which, depending on where you are in various levels, you will get in a way, one way or another, but it's good however you take it. If you're really good, let's say you're really good and financially very successful, but you lose your ability to be human, your ability to love, then you're done as a human being. You become a mechanical, auditory, digital, facts and data only, biological thing that walks around. And I know you know people who have no feelings. You know people that are extremely intelligent, and yet they lack what I like to call empathy. So this is a thing that also we learn in values, that humanistic values, which are 2, 4, 6, must be balanced against the expressive values 3, 5. Because if we lose our ability to love, and I don't mean, see, when I say the word love, let me define it, because everybody understands love differently. So love for your child, or love for your partner, or love for your mother, or for your, family, and so on and so forth. It's when I say the word love, I mean love without because. I don't love you because. There is no because. And I'm not talking about the other person, I'm talking about you. Your ability to have that capacity. So if you become just a very super intelligent person and you have all the skills in the world and everything, but you lose your ability to love, as I said, you're done as a human being. You can become a money-making machine. And by the way, with the techniques that you learn in a master practitioner, if you apply them in your thinking, you can do that. But one of the things that it's part of the design of the trainings that, and you'll see this in the master prac, yeah, it's the not losing that, and I'm not knocking down the intellectual and the AD part, because that's very important. If you go all on one side, only on feelings, then you're gonna, I wrote this in some of my articles that I posted on nlpcoaching.com, in the blogs that I did there. It's kind of like the knee-jerk reflex, you know, you are just an emotional basket and you have no logic or reason. So both of them are valuable and both of them need to be balanced. That's the conscious mind, unconscious mind. You understand that? Yeah, I'm talking about unconscious mind being in charge of emotions and the conscious mind being in charge of the logical reason and thinking. But I can think, because that's what most people who are not trained say to me. But what do you mean I can think? Well, you don't know what you don't know, do you? Our ability to learn more is tremendous. Our minds, our brains, our neurology is capable of incredibly more stuff than we're, you know, taught or told. Or, and again, it's not, I'm not blaming our parents. I mean, they did the best they could with what they had, you know, available to them, but they were subject also to limiting beliefs and decisions and trends of society at the time they grew up, because they've been subject to the same thing that we have. Now, some of them have produced, for some of you, you know, and I know people say, but my parents weren't quite nice, to say the least. Yeah, many people have been subject of dramatic situations in their childhood, and that's not acceptable. I'm making a generalization. I'm not going on to extreme cases like this. Yeah. So when you understand and you get how your values and the advanced techniques that we do master prac, then you understand them and you know how to use them. You can use them to navigate both the emotional and the logical thing and put them together. And that, my friends, is again another way of progressing through values levels. Values levels depend also with the hemispheres of the brain. We'll talk about that as well. Right brain hemisphere is usually values, sacrificial values levels 2, 4, 6. Left brain hemisphere is 3, 5. And the idea is to integrate the two brain hemispheres, which is exactly what I described before, just said in other terms. So you have both, which means you activate the prefrontal cortex, the higher centers of the brain, which takes you in and of itself higher in values levels, gives you more opportunity to think outside the box, find solutions, and ultimately change your life the way you want it, because that's what's all about. Now, we all need to produce something. I don't care where you are in the world. You can be in Africa, you can be in Europe, you can be in Asia, you can be in South America, in North America, in the UK, it doesn't matter where. There is one thing that we all cannot live without. Sorry to be so practical, but that's reality. And that's our ability to make money. The bank's not gonna go, okay, you have ability to love and be empathetic, therefore we're gonna give you a loan for free and you don't have to pay it back. Ain't gonna happen, ever. I mean, I wish society would be different, but it's not. I'm just being very realistic. We live in the world we live in. We can strive to change it and make it better, and we should. Absolutely. That's why, you know, we have the motto, transform the planet. One person at a time, one person at a time, one person at a time. But one of the things that we all need is money. And again, because of the last 2 years, many people have suffered a dip in their finances. Again, no matter where you are, you can be in the US, you can be in Australia, you can be anywhere. Everybody has suffered that. Yeah. And so the question then is, because you got to change something, I'm talking about change here. How can you create another modality for an easy income without incurring expenses? Meaning money in, no money out, right? Easy money in. Because the problem in any business is you have income and you have expenses. How do you minimize the expenses to the point to where the income that comes in, it's actually helping you. And you make more money without having to work 24 hours a day, because it's only as much as you can do, right? So to me, and if you've done a little research, just get a browser and look online. The coaching business, and I know I'm preaching to the choir because you guys are already here, but the coaching business has taken off tremendously. And Ted has predicted this years ago. Because we did an interview once and somebody asked, so NLP is kind of done, don't you think so? The interviewer said to Ted, and Ted says, no way. It's actually on it's the wave is just beginning to grow, and it's still growing. Search online. How many coaching services are there? Why? I think we're at the right time at the right place, my friends, because everybody has suffered during the last 2 years. Everybody's stuck somewhere, whether it's emotionally or mentally, or they don't have strategies, practical things to do in their work, business, and so on and so forth. Everybody has suffered the effects. None of us has been exempted, rather. If you do this, you're going to see we're at the right time, at the right place, and still is not going down. The crest is still going up. The crest of growth of the need of coaching services. See, the beauty of what we do here is the fact that we can apply this in any field. You can do business coaching, you can do relationship coaching, you can do couple counseling, you can do kids coaching, you can do sports coaching, because we're not operating on content. You know this from the practitioner, yeah? We're not operating in the content, we are taking care of the process that goes on and the context. In NLP, there is no content in content worth knowing. That's Richard Bandler saying. What does he say about this? Most people, when something happens to them, they think, why is this happening? Now, think of it. Here you are in the box of whatever happened, right? And you're asking yourself why. Why will give you more answers inside the same box. But what we're doing here, we're looking at the process and we're looking at the context. It's not like we don't take care of the content, because when we do a detailed personal history, of course, we take care of all the significant emotional events that have given birth to patterns that has led us to a situation in which we're not happy. For sure, for sure. But not for the drama. You know, I'm interested in the drama of what happened, and then I'm trying to point blame and figure out, no. That's useless. That has been tried so much, and it's pretty much useless. So we all need money, number one. And money, no money. And this is another thing we're going to talk about in Master Practitioner. When you're thinking, I'm going to repeat this, but you can take it on right now and guard your mind. When your mind is caught in between A and B, black and white, this or that, we know from the practitioner that's an absolute or that doesn't allow for anything in between. Then that's all you got the choice to think, this or that. You got no other choice. In other words, your flexibility of thinking is restricted to this or that. This party or that party, this decision or that decision, this job or that job, vacation or training, my mother-in-law, pleasing her, or going with my kids somewhere on the weekend. These are all decisions. And if you can get your mind to actually not think this way, you're going to notice that you can do this and that. And it's just a matter of employing different strategies. You always can do more than just two things, because when your mind is caught in there, you got just two choices. And many times those two choices are not even yours, are given to you. And then you're stuck. They're stuck in everywhere. So one of the conflicts that, again, people describe to me, and that's a generalization again, is if I work hard, I have no time, but if I take time off, I have, my income drops. So we call this money versus time conflict. And it's so common. You'll see when we get there, and we're going to elicit values, I'm going to demonstrate. You'll see this is such a common thing. Yeah. So again, money versus time. Well, how do I make more money but not invest more time? Well, one of the things is, and again, I'm talking about this field because we're already here, is that you can increase your income without increasing expenses by doing coaching online. I mean, again, when things switched in 2020 and we had the lockdowns, many of our graduates went like this, okay, we can do coaching online. Everything that you learn in NLP, every technique that you learn in NLP can be done online. Yes. I know we like to be in with other people. It's much nicer. I'm just giving you this as an example of flexibility of behavior, right? And it's very easy because all you need is, you don't need to invest no expenses, just to have a good internet connection. So you have, a decent possibility to do either Skype or Zoom as we do right now. So you can calibrate the person, on your computer screen, because you can see just as well online as you see live. But every technique in NLP can be done. So then during the week, that's my vision. During the week, you can supplement your income with this, and you don't have to work over the weekend. Or if you are into, let's say, a humanitarian cause, or you want to do something positive for the planet or something like this, you don't have to take time during the week to do that. You cannot lose any income during the week while you do that over the weekend, let's say. As an example, I'm just giving you examples. You can do a lot to reduce your expenses. That automatically means more money, right? I talked to a guy in California recently, and he was a real estate agent. And I'm not going to tell you his name because, I never do. But in California now, the prices of the houses are just unbelievable. It's almost like another bubble. They just went through the roof. Yeah. So, and he says, I have no money. And I go, in my mind, I'm thinking, geez, people buy houses now in California and also in Nevada, right? Not even show up. Sometimes they buy them just because, and sometimes they have a one view, and you put the house on the market today and tomorrow it's sold. That's how it worked for the last few months. It's just crazy. So I'm sitting there and going, how is it possible for these guys not to make any money? And then we talked more, and of course we had rapport, and he said, I'm paying alimony for my 3 kids. And when the amount of money has been calculated, I used to make, $500,000 a year. But now I don't. And I said, why don't you go and and show that your income has dropped, so that, the amount you pay for the period you are in trouble right now diminishes. And then as you make more money, then you can renegotiate again and pay back when you make money. And he goes, that's too much trouble. So here is a person that prefers to be broke rather than go to a process of renegotiating. I mean, it's reality. He doesn't make any money now. For whatever reason, I don't know why. I mean, I know some strategies because we talked, and I noticed what he was doing wrong. I gave him some advice, and he wasn't a client of mine. It was just the person I was talking to. But yeah, so there are many ways in which you can look on reducing your expenses. That's just being wise, my friends. Yeah. So you can negotiate. If you can negotiate well, and again, I'm making this point because we have a negotiation process that kicks, in the master Prac. If you can negotiate well, you can even negotiate with the bank. You go, no, I can't negotiate with the bank in Australia. I can't negotiate. Yes, you can. You can negotiate with anybody because the world's moving into values level 5, and everything's based on negotiation and your negotiation skills. Even at work, you want a promotion. How do you negotiate that? Because just because you do a good job, sometimes the boss prefers somebody else, or your manager, and so on and so forth. How many times this happened? And maybe they promote somebody less qualified and less able to do a good job compared to you. Not you here, one, right? But it happens more often than not. So do a budget for yourself. See where you're losing, where you're leaking money. Yeah, where your expenses can be minimized without you needing to diminish your comfort. And then you can invest in what's important to you. The money that you save on just leaking out, you can invest wisely somewhere else. So what I'm saying is especially nowadays, when I took this sentence from somebody else, but I think it's appropriate. The whole planet is in the invention room. The changes that happen, it's almost like we are reinventing our world after, the last 2 years. The question is, are we going to let others reinvent the world for us, and it's going to be the world we want to live in? Or are we going to be involved at the grassroots level, at the bottom, in our families, in our communities, in wherever we are? Are we going to have an input on that? And again, coming back to where I started, full loop, in order to do that, we need to begin to think differently. The old type thinking ain't happening anymore. So one more thing, and then I'm done. One more thing I wanna address here. Let me take an example. Let's say you had trouble in the family. It happened. I know I'm talking to people. That's why I'm addressing this. It's been the pressure of the last 2 years. People have been locked together, and pressure with family in terms of parents or relatives or something like that. Yeah, and could be arguments, could be friction, could be mismatching values from the NLP point of view, mismatching values, and incongruency. Incongruency is indecision. I don't know which way to go. Shall I do this or shall I do that? My head says this, my mind says, my heart says that. Again, notice this or that. Yeah, same thing. Yeah, so incongruency. That's one of the biggest problems that people have, that keeps them stuck and doesn't allow them to have positive solutions, change that can happen like this. And people don't realize. But when you talk to them, if you observe them, either their head goes like this, or their hands go like this, or you hear this, but that, but the other, but I'm not sure about this, but I'm not sure about. That's called indecision and incongruency. When we are incongruent, I'm going to talk about energy now. Incongruency inside of us eats our energy. How much energy does it take? Just think of your own experience. How much energy does it take when you are not sure about something? Shall I go this way or shall I go that way? But if I go this way, la 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 la. But if I go that way, la 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 la. All this process, you may think that it's just in your mind and it doesn't eat your energy. It does. It does tremendously. It wakes you up in the middle of the night and you're still thinking, and that thinking box never stops. You can't even sleep properly. That's one of the big issues. And incongruency can happen due to clash between your goals and your values. Incongruency can happen because values in and of themselves are conflicting with each other. That's why we learn how to change values, how to clean them up. And all this happens at the unconscious level, you see. Because if it happened at the conscious level, we could just change it like this. Go, oh, okay, I figured out this one, and from now on, I'm going to be different. It doesn't happen that way. We human beings are very interesting creatures, with our conscious minds and unconscious. I define the unconscious mind as simply the intelligence of the body. It's different from the conscious mind. It's not less than the conscious mind. It's not inferior. It's not sub. That's why we use Dr. Erickson's term unconscious mind, not subconscious mind, because when we say sub, presupposes less than. It's below. No, it's just different. It's just very, very different. And when we put this all together, we are free of incongruency. We are free of leaking energy, which we could use to put toward what we want to achieve. So you can see, you heard this. This is another cliche. You can change reality with the power of your mind. Oh, come on, for 100 years. It's been given to us from business to esoteric, to occult, to philosophy, to psychology, to everywhere. How to do it? Again, same thing. Yes, it's reality. Now, I don't know if any of you has ever followed late Professor William Tiller. He was a professor emeritus at the University of Southern California. And he was a very scientific guy, by the way. He wasn't wishy-washy. He wasn't into anything. He was a very scientific guy. Now, this is what this professor has done. He has gotten a group of 4 people. Key here is full alignment. They knew each other. They were having the same type of values. They were having the same direction, same type of mind. Yeah, that's very important. Alignment. And with these people, just with concentration, listen, folks, this is major thing. Just by concentration in a meditative state, yeah, they were all good meditators as well. They changed the pH of the water. In the camera, here is the water from acid. I don't know how long was, I don't remember. It's on his website. I believe 20 minutes or half an hour, maybe 20 minutes. Measure alkaline. They also have, and this study has been replicated, and we've done it with a bunch of, accelerated personal evolution program. I haven't done the second one though, because I can't get fruit flies. But he also has reduced the gestation period of the fruit flies, again, under experiment, replicatable around the world. They couldn't take him down. They couldn't say this is not real. They couldn't say that this is not scientific. They couldn't say anything. They reduced the gestation period of the fruit flies by 3 days, because that's what they decided to do. So if you have any doubt that you can change reality with the power of your mind, if you change your mind and you are in control of what's going on in this box here, don't anymore. And you say, but then how come that, so many people are in trouble? Because they don't think right. They are not in charge of this. They don't know how their mind works. I had an argument with my boss today. Well, what just happened? Oh, they're just a bad person. They are an arrogant, what? Well, that's very easy to do, but how much does it help? Tomorrow you still have to deal with the same boss. But how do I do something inside me so that I don't ever have that problem anymore? Now, this is just a simple little example. It could be far more dramatic examples, yeah? So, to be certain, because we started from certainty, and I'm going to conclude now, yeah? How many people are uncertain about the future? How many people are insecure? How many people are indecisive, and so on and so forth? And it's a generalization. I know it happens, yeah? To be certain, you need to lose your state of incoherence. Incoherence is just another word for incongruency. You need to lose your doubts and anxiety. And you need to find inside you the certainty that now you're looking for to come to you from outside. Because nobody, my friends, will ever give you the certainty that you want. The government will not do it. The corporations will not do it. And in values level 5, speaking of corporations, you are not a human being, you are a consumer. You understand that? From their point of view, you're just a consumer of their product. Because in what that type of thinking is concerned, all that counts is, the slice of the pie, the percentages, the numbers, the income, and so on and so forth. It's just a matter of, it's almost like auditory digital. It's just a stage of thinking. And That's where corporations are. So you can stay frozen, waiting for the other shoe to drop, for the other, what will happen next. And hopefully I, pray that it's not going to be that bad. That's values level 4, right? I'm waiting here to be rescued, and I'm hopelessly dependent on whatever comes from high up. Or on the other hand, you can begin the change inside, get the certainty, the decision-making power on your own, and then you are not dependent on anybody and anything else. And that's the great skill, my friends. That's the great skill that actually is how to change those things and how to transform your life and how to get that level of certainty that we all want. Regardless of values level, we all like to be certain, or relatively certain, but we can deal with uncertainty because there are people who cannot deal with uncertainty. And we want to be able to deal, because I'm sorry, I'm going to say this again. I don't mean to scare you. We are in the midst of a change, and the change will still continue for a few more good years until we reestablish our society differently. Society is, no matter where it is, because this is a global phenomenon. Yeah? So you need to start to create that certainty. And I know no better way. And by the way, I can do all NLP in my sleep. I've done it for such a long time. Anything. You wake me up at 3 a.m., tell me, okay, this problem, okay, and I do it, half asleep. But I haven't found any better way of dealing with what we're encountering right now practically in our lives than values, followed by meta programs, followed by the advanced techniques in timeline therapy with the full breakthrough session. If you call me and you say, this person has blah, 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 whatever, I will always say, do a full breakthrough session. Because that's what I do. And I always solve the problem. Yeah, always solve the problem. It's almost like it's 29 steps. We made it. When I say we, I mean Ted and I years ago, we sat together and we put 29 steps. All you have to do is follow step by step by step by step the whole procedure. We made it easy because sometimes people go, well, what do I do? Well, follow this. Script, done, easy. Yeah. And don't sit there going, that will work for anybody else but me, because we're all human beings, my friends. We are none stupider than others. We are just less trained or more trained. That's all. We are more capable of knowing how we operate or less. And this is a matter of learning. It's not a big issue. Yeah. So I hope I could give you some tips. Do your time budget management. Do your energy management. Oh, and one more thing, and then I'm I'm done. I know I keep saying one more thing, and I'm done. Another important thing that drains your energy. Cut out of your life people who are not in integrity toward you. I know it's easier said than done. But if you have in your life a person that wants all your time and energy for themselves, only for what they want, and you being a nice and kind person, you accommodate, they eat your time and energy. Especially if those people are not in integrity toward you, or they're hypocritical, and you know they're hypocritical, but you cannot call them on it or something like this. If you want to save on energy, cut them out of your life. Just cut them out. You don't have to be rude, you don't have to be brutal, you don't have to be anything. Just simply, kind of take distance. Because then all the energy that they suck from you, you can use for yourself and for your purposes and for your goals. Now, I mentioned something that I don't want you to just let it pass by. Because when your goals, whatever your goals are, and you should have goals, by the way, if you don't have goals, you don't know what you want. And if you don't know what you want, you're not going anywhere. You need to make up your mind. What do I want? And have goals. You all have learned in practitioner how to set goals in the future timeline. Make sure you have goals. But if your goals are in alignment with your values, your goals will come to fruition easier. If your goals are not in alignment with your values, you're going to struggle for them, and it's going to be difficult to achieve your goals. I said this, I remember in the middle of my talk, but I wanted to specify this for you, because this is another reason why people don't get what they want, and they have difficulties, and they have confusion, and they are stuck, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's it. I think I put in whatever I want to put in, and it gave you some pointers that you can use right now until we'll meet in 3 weeks or so from now. Good. Now I'm going to open for questions. What questions do you have for me? Can I help you? Can I give you anything? Can I assist you with anything right now? Oh, that many questions. You guys are all enlightened. Let me elicit your strategy. Your life's perfect.